Welcome to the Collective Genius Podcast, the show for real estate investors who are looking to scale.
Welcome into the Collective Genius Podcast, a podcast for real estate investors that want to continue to grow and scale their business. Another week, another episode, and I have, for the first time, I can say that we have a Canadian member on the show as our guest. Please welcome my friend from the North and now your friend from the North. Please welcome in CG member from Toronto, Mr. Aaron Moore. How are you, my friend?
Doing awesome, Leon, and thanks for having me. And I'm thrilled to be the first Canadian.
You are the first Canadian. I thought I was doing the research this morning. And I thought to myself, have I had a Canadian on? The answer is yes, but the answer is yes because that we have had someone from Canada, but they weren't a member. We had a keynote speaker at our last premiere event that was originally from Canada, lives in LA, I think now, but was Canadian, but he wasn't a Canadian member. So you are officially our first Canadian member. Welcome.
Awesome. And I am the Canadian doing deals in Canada.
Yes. So let's talk about that. First and foremost, we know you're in Toronto. That's your market. Tell everyone, because I think some people in America don't necessarily know if the way that we do wholesale, hotel, fix and flip, fix and hold, the way that we do real estate in the U.S., they don't know if it translates maybe in other countries, but clearly it does. So why don't you let everybody know what it is that you do in the Toronto area?
Sure. And yeah, it's very similar to what's going on down in the U.S. I do find the U.S. is typically ahead of us and doing things a little bit better. I remember going down to conferences in the States, and I look out my hotel window and I see a billboard for "I buy ugly houses." I'm in the lounge and I see TV commercials about buying houses. It's not that prolific in Canada, I'll tell you that. So we got lots of room to grow up here, I feel. There's a lot of similarities. Yeah, we're flipping houses, we're wholesaling up here. I think the big difference is there's no data up here. So you talk about list stacking in the U.S., you talk about buying lists of people in foreclosure or behind on taxes. There's very little of that here. Real hard to get data.
So how is it that you find data? Because 90% of your business is wholesaling. At least it was the last presentation I saw from you. So the model is almost the same. And, data wasn't, at the level that we see it today, wasn't a thing, 10, 15, let's call it 15 years ago. That has grown significantly on predictive data. So what is it that you do?
We do marketing, like inbound marketing. So we are, big on internet marketing, our PPC, SEO. We started YouTube ads not long ago. We've been doing Facebook ads for years. And of course, we do some direct mail, but it's the targeting, the data we're using is very high level. It's sort of, based on the age of the house. And we do look at price points in certain neighborhoods. We just generally look and avoid the higher priced areas. So that's the very basics of what we're doing we are blasting. We're not doing expensive mail. We're not delivering right to the house. We're doing that, the cheaper unaddressed mail in different geographies. They'll call it different things, but we're just blasting neighborhoods. Yeah, and it's lower cost per door.
Here at the post office here, I forget what that's called, but it's basically neighborhoods where you can buy zip codes and blast into those particular areas. Clearly, you're making it work without data, and so did U.S.-based investors 20, 30 years ago. You're figuring it out, and no one else has data advantage to you, so you're all playing on the same playing field. Here's what I've noticed, Aaron, and for those that are listening, Aaron being based in Canada, just to reiterate, there was a long time there that I would get applications from Canada. Been in this role for almost 8 years now, and they were always, someone that was doing the business, but they weren't doing it at a high level. Until about 5 years ago, there were a couple people, you and one of them being included, that I could see ran more of a U.S.-based type of investment business and wholesaling and hoteling and fixing and flipping at volume. Do you think that, maybe that's changed here in the last 6 to 12 months? But I've only seen a couple of operators that operate at a super high, like collective genius level, member level. Is that, you think it's because the barrier of entry is a little bit harder and higher because of the data thing?
Yeah, there's challenges. Well, I think any which way in the business, it's a challenging business, the sales and marketing business. But I'm also puzzled why there's not more competitors.
Well, that's a good thing.
Like around Toronto, there's enough competitors. We do get a lot of local competitors and people niche down to specific areas. There's a lot of suburbs around Toronto. Uh, I would say here, in Canada, there's no nationwide presence. Um, People dabble a bit in that. People try to be in a couple provinces. There's no one that really stands out for being nationwide or even in multiple provinces long term.
Well, I mean, that bodes well for you. So let's go. This is a good segue into how you got into this, because clearly there are smaller operators, but they're not big operators like you, at least a ton of them. I don't know, a lot of US based members or investors are listening to this and going, man, I wish that was my market, because everyone is an investor in my market. So how did you get to this point? Where did you learn about real estate? Had you always wanted to do real estate? Where'd you start your career?
Wow. Yeah. I guess the initial seed is probably just knowing someone who had a couple rental properties. It was around probably the time I graduated university, but I was headed to the corporate world. So around the time I started the corporate job, and just knowing an entrepreneur or two, it gets me thinking, gets me reading books, and which led me down probably over a series of years to buying my first property. Which the first property I bought was part rental. So it was a 2 unit. So I moved in and rented part out. So it's just that's probably a similar story for many people. You just kind of year by year, it takes some years, but you're kind of inching along. You might read books. Go at some point, you go to some educational seminar. I did start learning after some years from locals, like people local to me in Toronto, who had been um, doing a wholesale or flipping type business, buying privately, attracting those motivated sellers, getting the deals, offering to buy quickly and pay the cash and take on the problems, buying the ugly houses. So I did learn from some locals, but at some point I think I did outgrow the local educators, the other people locally doing this type of business. So I definitely had to, after a certain level, move on to the U.S. and start learning. I always like to have people ahead of me doing bigger things than me, and that's where I found it, and from our friends in the U.S.
How were you getting, like, I mean, you were learning from other people and you were passing them up, it sounds like, pretty quickly. What do you attribute that to?
Ah, there's I definitely just always have the mindset to learn and grow. And that being said, I do remember taking some times when my daughter was born. I definitely took it easy for a little time. So before she went to preschool, like I have had some take it easy years, and I've been self-employed doing real estate for a while. So we're going on 20 years. It's since 2008. So I had my years as a solo guy. I go on vacation, I turn off marketing, and that was it. I was able to like really chill for a year or two when my daughter was born. I didn't do as much, but then it wasn't until 2018. Well, maybe 2017, 2018, but 2018, I hired my first full-time team member. And I think it was 2017, I really started getting the itch to grow this thing. And there's just partly it's just me. I want to learn, grow, improve, and build things, create things, do more. And I would say, I definitely had some influences seeing what was happening more in the U.S. because there wasn't really great examples to look from locally. So seeing people growing big businesses and flipping, wholesaling in the U.S., that did inspire me as well.
You obviously saw the opportunity, right? Because no one
Yeah.
else was doing it. Again, I go back to any applications I got from Canada. It typically was well below any of the tiers that we offer. They were part-timers, or their model was just a little bit different. It wasn't Americanized, I guess the best way I can call it, model where you market and you say it's marketing and sales type of business. It was something of more of a side hustle and or commercial in some cases.
Yeah.
It just seemed like the model of marketing towards motivated sellers, which obviously is a little bit different in your country, but that wasn't a thing. And so you saw the opportunity. When did you mentioned turning the phone off and having time and hiring these people? When did you realize that, all right, I got a opportunity here? Because you've done some great things in the last 3 years, a lot in 3 years that a lot of people have struggled through, especially, post 2020, 2021. And we've talked about that on the pod plenty. You've doubled your business, from a revenue standpoint in that time frame. When did you start and say, all right, if I hire good people, build good culture, you've done some great presentations on that before. When did that click? Did that click like immediately when you hired that first person, or just said, this is, now I see it after hiring a good couple people?
I suppose I always look back and wish I had sped things up a little bit. It took me time. I even think working with both Sharper and CG, I was probably getting close to 3 years I've been with CG, but I even look at my years since CG, and I see at times I've had my foot on the brakes, a little cautious, maybe for hiring or building the team as fast as I should have been. And but now it opened my eyes up. Listen, part of it is just kind of maturity, getting your systems in place, doing things better. We improved our hiring process, we improved our onboarding. So a lot of these things just give you the confidence to hire more people, like build a bigger business. And 2025, we've had the best turnover numbers and retention numbers ever. So it was a great year, but that's based on multiple things we've done over years. And CG and Sharper have been huge in this. I think we got a CG event next week, but every quarter I'm going to these events and just getting tips, tactics on building a team, building a business. So this has been huge for us.
If I remember correctly, there was a couple different people that you put on your application that you were referred by. But I remember us having a conversation about making sure that you had your systems, your process, your people, your operations in place before joining. And I remember you were working with Sharper before you came to Collective Genius, correct?
Yeah, it was basically months before, not that long before, but it was a matter of months before. Yeah. So they got us going in the right direction.
Yeah, you already knew that the operations was going to be crucial. How did you learn about the Collective Genius, and what made you say, this is where I need to be?
I think I had heard about CG for years from multiple people, multiple Americans. I think Alex Pardo, Brad Chandler, but other people there's
that's awesome.
There you go. Yeah. So, but multiple people over years, and it was just for me not knowing much about it. For years for me, it was before I joined. It was sort of the kind of like the pinnacle. It was definitely a place for high performers. So I knew a certain status, a certain just opinion in my head without knowing much about it, but knowing a little bit about it. So it was definitely a place I always had a mental note to reach out to maybe once I was at a certain level or a certain point in the business.
I can tell you that, sometimes who comes before you, unfortunately, in some cases will be a good thing or could be a bad thing. Thankfully, there was one other Canadian operator at the time that was in the Collective Genius. But prior to that, I just had no luck with applicants from Canada until there was you and one other at the time that were operating this at a super high level, especially from a sales and marketing perspective. And because they were successful and because they were in this group, it really opened my eyes like, all right, now we have some operators that are at this level that are in that country. So that actually helps you, because I remember prior to getting Canadian, I almost stopped even looking at Canadian applications, because it was always, can I come to one event and not all four? And I realized, I mean, in some cases, that was a long haul from somebody from Vancouver coming to Florida. But in Toronto, you've got direct flights everywhere, so it's not.
Oh yeah.
It's like being in Detroit, basically. It's not that far. So that helped for sure. And when I started talking to you, one of the things I was most impressed with is your focus on having your operations. And it must have been from the past of knowing that you should have done that before, but your operations was very important to you. And if I can, I'd love to talk about your core values, man, because so many people listen to this, have great businesses, but may not have the culture that they want. And you built a culture that spoke to who you are as a human being. And I even wrote them down, man. I absolutely love them. I want to tell everybody what they are, and then I want to ask you how you landed on these. And obviously they're pretty straightforward. It's be helpful, be kind, solve problems, do what you say you're going to do, and then learn, improve, grow. I mean, all of those are, if we think about how we would want our kids to be, right? If we think about who we would want to be around, they're all great values in how to build a culture of being helpful, being kind, and solving people's problems. I mean, that's what we do. If you're doing this at a high level, you should be solving homeowners' problems or helping solve problems of homeowners that may not be this major deal because they had a house fire or something along those lines. They may just need to move or something along those lines. So tell me how you landed on these, because these are really sharp.
Yeah, they're sharp. They're pretty basic, or like they're very foundational. But for me, they did come from myself dealing with these home sellers in very challenging situations. We're talking about, I'm sure most of us listening here know about the situations, but it's, terrible finances. You're broke. You're going to be foreclosed on. Sickness, death in the family. All these types of things. These people are in tough situations. So, from my own experience, like I want to be kinder and more helpful than sometimes I am. Like I remember taking some sales calls and like I wasn't as kind and helpful as I want myself to be. So you just got to sort of encode this. You got to ingrain it in yourself and in your team and in your culture. And probably the one is a little more internal, like to yourself, to the company, that the learn, improve, grow. That's important to me. That wasn't exactly, that didn't come from my interactions with the sellers in tough situations, but that's me. Like, I'm not here to plateau. I'm not here to stay the same. I'm here this thing called life. I'm here to learn, improve, and grow in life and business and as myself. So that's a little bit separate. That's a little bit different. And I will be talking at this CG about our company charter. So it was in 2022, we wrote a charter, which kind of goes beyond the core values. And I'll be talking about this. And it's aspirational. It's kind of, you think like a rule book with principles of how we want to be as a company. And it looks inwards, like inside the company, how we want to treat our team. And of course, it talks about how we want to treat the sellers. We've always been hugely seller focused. But then we realized, sometimes we're a little too seller focused. We need to put a little more focus on the team. I realized that over time. So we made this charter in 2022, and that it's kind of like it brought us up. It's aspirational, because that it led to, and there's always multiple influences. Like Sharper was a big influence of this, but it led to our giving program that we created in 2024, and we revised our purpose with Sharper, created the key purpose indicators. We revised the purpose and the key purpose indicator, and made this giving program. And these, I think the giving program is something that led to 2025 having like our best retention and lowest turnover ever, like so far. So the culture is getting stronger. Just things are shaping up. The team's better. So there's a lot of good things going on, and I do attribute it to culture and values and all that.
Well, a lot of times we hear people say that it's really tough to hire good people and retain good people. But if we know anything about the newer generations, is it's never just about a paycheck for them. It's about the impact for most that they can have in anything that they're doing. Talk to us a little bit more about this giving initiative. What does that look like?
Yeah. So we've always had a purpose for many years in our company. We did revise it because I did mention, and it sticks with me. We were always very seller focused, taking great care of the sellers, but getting that team, getting a bigger perspective. So we changed the purpose to have these three major factors. It's compassionately assist sellers. We've been doing that forever. But then we added basically guide our team to leadership and prosperity. That's also like that's been part of our charter for years before the giving fund and the changing our purpose. We were always focused on helping our team build wealth, like sharing our knowledge. Like I've been a real estate investor. I've had rental properties, been doing this business for many years. I'm into building wealth, and I want to share that with the team and help them. So that's an aspect that we put into the giving program. And the third aspect of our new purpose was to just be better with our community. So just be a positive influence, impact on our community. Now that brings me to how to measure this. And this is our friends at Sharper really put this on us, how to measure this. So we made up this giving program. We said it's at least 1% of revenue, and it's more than that because we put in extra chunks often, but it's at least 1% goes to two things. There's a 50%, it's split down the middle. 50% goes to our team to buy real estate. So people on our team have bought their first home. People have bought rental properties. And so that's part of it. And the second chunk is give to the community. And probably the biggest, what we mean by the community, yeah, sure, we give to some charities and things like a girls soccer team in the community and other fun things. But a big part of that is giving to these sellers that we interact with. And we've got some great stories. Might even get me choked up, some of these stories. I got to be careful. It's not good on a podcast to
yes, it is.
Tell the chokers. But but both halves of that giving program really, they impact the team, they impact the sellers, and it's been great for the whole team.
Yeah, and these are funds that go to sellers that maybe don't have anywhere to go. They need help moving. They need assistance with a lot of different things financially, and this fund, this half of this fund goes towards that.
Yeah, we just had a lady. We're in March here, so it's winter. A few weeks ago. Listen, I talk in Celsius. I don't talk the same language as Americans. but let me say it was freezing and the kind of weather. I talk like minus 20 and minus 30 degrees Celsius. But what that means is if you're outside and not dressed enough, you're going to die overnight. Like that's the kind of weather where you freeze to death. But I'm getting choked up. But this one seller, like Danny on her team, goes to the house, and he ends up touching her hand because she had a cut. So he's helping her put a bandage on. He had a safety kit, a first aid kit in his car, but he realized her hand was so cold she didn't have any heat in the house. Wow. And I'm getting too choked up for this. I wish I wasn't, but okay, I gotta breathe. Okay, the point is, okay. Because of this giving fund, he knows he can get this lady heat, get a technician over there, and get her heat in her house. Yeah. So he got on the phone. He tried to get a technician, but he's on the road. So he actually, like, he was having trouble. So he got our TC, and he's on the road. Our TC, our transaction coordinator's at the desk. So, and she's a big-hearted person too. So she's happy to help out. So she ends up taking it home. This is Chelsea, RTC. She's makes the calls, finds someone who can go that night. So I think it's at 9 p.m. A technician goes, and there's even like sometimes, and then just a little aside, we get it fixed that night. But this is a senior lady. She's in a walker. Chelsea calls her, and she's she's a few minutes away from the house at the mall, and it's this lady, the senior lady with a walker, says it's going to take me an hour and a half to get there. And then, of course, Chelsea finds out it's because she's a senior in a walker and she's just walking home for this. It would take most people a few minutes. So Chelsea gets her in Uber, gets her home in time. It gets fixed, but it's just, the impact we can make with a few $100 doing these kind of things. And I tell the team, it doesn't matter if we buy it or not. Like, let's just do some of these things. Just give for the sake of giving. Yeah.
I love the empowerment. That's how you build culture, my friend. You have very caring individuals that are not there just to buy a house. They're there to make impact when the opportunity presents itself because of this fund that you've built. They don't have to think twice about it. They don't have to call you and say, hey, can I do this? They know that the culture that you've built, man, you're a good man, my friend. That's I love hearing that. If you're listening to this and you're a real estate investor, there's a lot you can learn from this. Unfortunately, there are so many people that think that what we do is, go in and take advantage of people. And that's not the reality of the level of individuals and human beings that we have within this community. They truly make an impact. And I had this conversation with another member this morning, is even if I can't buy the house, we're going to help someone in their time of need. And that's just, I love you sharing that. And I promise you, there was a interviewer back in the 80s and 90s here in America, my friend, called Roy. His name was Roy Firestone. And no athletes ever wanted to go on Roy Firestone's show because he always made people cry. That is not my goal. That is not my goal because, as you know, I'm a sympathetic crier, so I do not want to start bawling on this myself. But that's just a great, great story. Most people that are listening to this may know Roy from Jerry Maguire. He was in the movie, and that's where most people knew of Roy. But yeah, man, that's I love that. I love the culture that you've built. It's so simple. Sometimes people struggle with, what culture do I want? And if you're a person that wants to truly help your community, start there. What does that look like? Being kind, being serving others, being helpful, doing what you say you're going to do, solve problems. All too often, employees come to us with problems because we haven't empowered them to come to us with solutions, and making sure that's part of the checklist of when they walk through that door. We're a solutions-based company. We're not, problem. We don't just talk about problems. We look for solutions first. And I love every bit about that. And that presentation of yours was a really, really good one. So those that are members, you can find that in the portal. It's really good on building the type of culture that you want. And for those that aren't members, when you become members, we'll get you that presentation if you're interested. There are a lot of people right now, Aaron, as we segue here to kind of what the market is doing right now, and just would love to hear, there are 4 really big items that we're attacking that are pain points that are just simple. I mean, this wasn't an issue in 2020 and 2021. As the market has transitioned, from 22 to 23, 24 was a little tough for some. 25 was, kind of leveling out. The biggest issues are, first and foremost, as leads, then it's appointments, and then it's conversion, and then it closes, right? It's that contract to close at the end there. Of all of those, you clearly, are doing well. You've doubled, your business in your last 3 years. What do you feel like is working best for you in those pain points that you feel like you separate yourself from others?
I think, it's probably also because I was talking with a competitor of mine a few days ago, and he was complimenting us on our speed to lead and beating him to a lot of buying a lot of properties. So as our team has grown, it just allows us to give better service. And I just in the past week I read one of our Google reviews from a seller that we bought from, and right there he talks about answering the phone right away. None of this, I'll take notes and get someone to call you back. It was like right away, we're answering the phone, we're booking appointments, we're getting to the house like as soon as is good for the seller. We know people are in time sensitive situations, so we respond very quickly. So there's definitely yeah, we definitely stand out for our speed. Uh, from answering a call to getting out to the house quickly, getting people that agreement, that contract in their hands to buy their property. That's something we focus on.
Sounds simple, but take heed if you're listening to this. It sounds very simple, but I can tell you that there are a lot of people that miss opportunities just by not answering the phone. I can attest that in my 8 years of talking to people, some of the wealthiest people that I've ever talked to about the collective genius, and some that were, partners with former presidents, like I'm talking big wealth, they answered their phone anytime I called them. And these people are in their 70s and 80s. And obviously that's, that was their secret to success. And sometimes just the most simple thing of you never know what's the opportunity unless you especially with what we do. People don't need us until they do. And if they call you, they're just going to move on. Excuse me. They're just going to move on to the next person. And so in this market or any market, it sounds simple, but just answering the phone and having speed to get to before someone else gets out there, especially someone in your particular case, that you're going to offer a solution to someone rather than, whomever else is going out there and whatever their agenda is. Like you're going out there to solve whatever problem that they're calling with. So I love that. Anything else that's currently, you got a great team, speed the lead, answer the phone, anything else that's working for you here as we enter, we're in the first quarter of 2026.
This is a very minor thing, but some people may not have it up and running. Is a little marketing thing, Bing ads. I'm sure people know Google ads. I looked at our numbers for last year in 2025. Bing ads had the highest ROI. We made some big deals on those. Very little cost. It's high quality leads, just like a Google pay-per-click. And I do know there's a number of people that don't do it. They focus on the Google ads. So if you're not doing it, do it. That's all I can say.
It's interesting way back when I was in corporate, we sold pay-per-click, and Bing was a part of our search. Percentage-wise, it was a very small percentage of searches that were done on Bing versus Google. That said, I haven't, been up to, given an update on what that percentage looks like today. Do you happen to know?
I do know we could not listen. We can't spend as much as we want on Bing as we can't spend as much as we'd like, but we can spend a few thousand. Listen, probably still spending a few thousand a quarter, but the returns, the ROI is substantial because we get some big deals from it.
It's the first time in 8 years I've heard someone mention Bing, and maybe that the others automatically are already on that search engine as well. But I will say this: I used to underestimate that myself because I was in advertising sales for all businesses until I started looking at how many desktops were ran off of Microsoft. And the search bar comes up on their homepage every single time. And people didn't go and just open up. Most people, obviously Google has a lot more searches, but I would notice that people only just searched whatever was on their homepage, which if they're running Microsoft, it's Bing. There are several partners that if they go to their favorite site, the search in that favorite site is Bing. So that's good advice. I haven't heard that in such a long time. And it may be, even if it's only, X amount of searches per month in their market on Bing, it's worth having at least a small presence there.
Definitely. It's not going to be a huge thing. It depends how big your company is, but it's going to get you deals.
Love that. You are somebody that is always learning, wanting to improve and grow. That's part of your core values. I love that. I think all of us that are high achievers always want to continue to gain knowledge, apply it, and continue to grow on every level that we possibly can. So in this year, coming into this year of 2026, what were you most excited about for you and your business?
Yeah, for me, I want to become a better, maybe, let's say, coach, resource to my team. So I do want to just to help develop stronger people. That'll create a stronger team. So I do plan, we're putting together a little, I suppose, coaching program for new hires, and myself getting involved in that, probably getting a leadership coach that I'm working with involved in that as well. And it's probably do a pilot program, probably help myself be a better coach, but let's see the impact we can have on people on the team, and a lot of it's create more leaders within the team.
That's your role. That's what you've graduated to. For those that are listening, our levels, we've got 4 different levels for a reason. Like each level is a chapter of your business, no different than a chapter of a book. And there are a lot of people that are at our select level right now going, when do I get to lead leaders and grow leaders? And like, well, you're not quite there yet. You've got to build the operations and the repeatable systems around them to get there. You've obviously done that. That's something that you have graduated to, and that is now your role. A lot of people, if you're listening to this and you're getting close to that, you have to make sure that that next step for you is that you're not just graduating into a role that you're not sure what it is, because I've seen depression set in for a lot of founders. I have seen people confused on where they should be and start new businesses that didn't make any sense because they needed a new challenge. And in this business, if you're continuing to grow and scale your business, your next phase is out of the business, not involved in acquisitions anymore. There's some people that continue to do that. But if you're growing and scaling, it's typically you're graduating into that role where you are right now, Aaron, which is my job is to lead leaders and show the way of the growth of the future of this company, not only for them specifically of what's available to them, but they trust you as the leader that everything that you're doing is to grow the business so they have security. I mean, that's what most people want, is security and an opportunity to enjoy what they do on a daily basis. Love that for you. You've earned it. The culture that you've built, my friend, is very genuine to you, and we showed that here today. So if people wanted to reach out to you to have a conversation, learn more about you, follow you, anything like that, where would they find you?
I'm not the biggest social media guy, but you can, and there's a lot of Aaron Moores out there. My name's pretty generic, but you can find me on Facebook. Like for investors, we do, if you're an investor in Ontario, Canada, looking for properties, house deals, gta.ca, just sign up there. Let us know what area you're looking for, because we do deals across the province, Ottawa, Windsor, of course, anywhere around Toronto. So house deals, gta.ca, you can contact me through that as well. Social media, I'm a little bit on social media, a little slow to it, but
that's okay. You've been building something special, and hopefully everyone listening to this got some value here today. I know I did. I learned some new things, and you truly are a genuine human being, my friend. Like, you are one of the good guys in this industry that are out doing more than just chasing profit. You're building leaders. You're helping your community, helping sellers. Dude, it's a pleasure to always have a conversation with you. Congrats on the business that you've built. And one of these days, I'm going to get up to Canada in the summer, of course.
Yes.
Summer. My kids have not been to Toronto, so we've got to remedy that at some level, at some point.
Come and visit.
Yes. Well, Aaron, thank you so much for joining me here today on the Collective Genius Podcast. It was my pleasure. Look forward to seeing you here at our next up-and-coming meeting and seeing one of your presentations. And if you, on the other side, would love to see one of those presentations and be in the room with great members like Aaron, the easiest way to do that is go to our website, explorecg.com. There you'll find our application, all 4 different levels. If you're a full-time real estate investor, more than likely, we have a spot for you. Fill out that application. You'll talk to someone on the other side, and if it's a good fit for both of us, we'll talk about the next step. Now, if not, that's okay. You'll get to talk to somebody in the industry and talk about next steps of what it looks like to be able to be a Collective Genius member. Aaron, again, thank you so much, my friend. Look forward to seeing you here soon, and we look forward to seeing you next week on the Collective Genius Podcast.
Thank you, Leon. Pleasure.
Take care.
New episodes every week. To learn more, visit explorecg.com, where real estate investors come to scale.